morning, flosstube. This is Gem Stitch here for my January and December update, my works in progress. It's been one of those months already, which is why I would have preferred to be here sooner, but unfortunately I've spent most of January being ill with that cold and flu that has been going around, and it pretty much knocked me out. So unfortunately I haven't been in any fit state. I'm not really even fit state now, but to come to you in any capacity. So, but I have managed to squeeze it in. It is the 31st of January today, so in a way let's try and celebrate, because that means January will be over. It's been pretty awful, but onwards and upwards, and I've got lots to get through today. This isn't going to be my year in review. I know everybody's done one of those. I'm going to be super late with mine, but hopefully the enthusiasm of not looking at year in reviews will have come back as such. Although I love all the videos that are uploaded, I am so ridiculously behind with flosstube because of being ill. It did actually, the cold affected my eyes quite a bit, so although I've got quite a bit to show, you've got to think that's almost like 2 months worth of progress, and over the Christmas time. And in January it affected my eyes. I couldn't really look at screens, iPads, phones, computer monitors for too long, because I was just like crying, but not actually crying, just tears were just rolling, and it's just it was just unpleasant. So, but I'm hopefully on the road to recovery now. Hopefully there'll be no coughing fits. I have got a drink with me, which I will refrain to use, but if I need it, obviously I'm sure you'd prefer that than me coughing and coughing and coughing. So I'm at a slightly different angle, you may have noticed. I'm going to try this angle. It's January in England at the moment, which of course means that we've gone from today already, we've had just a grey, drizzly, rainy day, and then about 2 seconds ago a little bit of sun come out. What do you do? So I'm just going to go with it. So let's get to it. I suppose the first thing I'd like to say is thank you to all my subscribers, my returning viewers. Thank you to everybody that leaves a comment, and thank you to everybody that leaves a like or a thumbs up. We really appreciate. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. It means a lot, especially when you know, as we've said before, stitching is a form of therapy for me, and when you're going through a bit of a rough patch, sometimes it's just nice to, you know that people are sort of appreciating you, even with a like. That's just good enough for me, and that's great. So, but the comments are fabulous as well. So anyway, let's get on. First things first, I suppose December. If we start with December, I had my birthday in December, and my husband did treat me to a wonderful surprise. He took me out on my birthday to see to the theatre in the city to see Phantom of the Opera, which I have seen before. It is one of my absolute favourites. My husband hadn't seen it, so that was really nice that he got to see it. And yeah, so that was at Her Majesty's Theatre, and it's just a fabulous show, which is why it's still running and still packs out the audience. And I just loved it. So that was really nice, and we had dinner there too. So, and it was really nice to see the Christmas lights and things, although because my birthday's so close to Christmas, it was, as you do, you expect it to be very busy around Regent Street and Oxford Street and those sort of big shopping hub sort of places, and it was, but it was nice to see the lights and sort of soak up some of the atmosphere. Generally, since not working in London, I generally avoided it for a long time, because it just reminds you of work, but now it was quite nice to go back and be just a viewer like a tourist, and that was quite nice. So and know that I haven't got to work till ridiculous hours, because I generally work in the retail sector dealing with all the Christmas rush, and that was quite nice, walking around thinking I haven't got to do this, it's someone else's job, which is a bit mean, but all power to the retail workers. So yeah, So that was my December. I had a lovely Christmas. I did fall ill pretty quickly after Christmas, and with a cold, but I rested up for about 2 days, and because we had a little bit of a sort of lull in visiting and stuff, and that was great. And you know, I thought, oh, actually, by New Year's I've pretty much kicked this. And then my husband brought home the cold. I think it was actually probably more flu. I know people say they've got flu, and actually what they've got is a really bad cold. But yeah, this like made us ache and give us the shakes and those sort. And you know, you're thinking, yeah, this isn't just a cold. But for me, it's taken longer. My husband has sort of been reasonably well for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, whereas I've still got a bit of a niggly cough. So it's taken a little bit longer for me to recover, but hopefully I'm on the road to recovery. So I'm sure now that's sort of the update and the overall of what's been going on. I do have some thank yous to say. Firstly, I would really like to thank obviously everybody that wished me happy birthday and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you very much, that means a lot to me. I'd also like to share with you some of the things that I've either purchased with Christmas money, to do with stitching of course, or was actually bought for me or made for me. So I would like to do that. And I'm going to do that here, and then I'm going to just move on to whips. Okay, so firstly I would like to thank, and I did actually message and thank, but I would just like to say in person, on here in person, I was very lucky, and I was blessed with a present from the beautiful Elena and Olivia, and I was when I started seeing these on Instagram, I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to get one of these, and I was so excited to get one of these beautiful, I know everyone's seen them, beautiful collage of Christmas cheer, and that's exactly what it was, and it was beautiful, and I was so pleased. But I was blessed even more because the generous ladies actually bought me a gift too, and I just couldn't believe it. They actually bought me the drawn thread Christmas basket. How lucky am I? These are 2 of these patterns. Sorry about the glare. 2 of these pattern, I don't know which 2 yet, I haven't decided, but 2 are definitely going to be Mania starts. So I'm probably going to stitch all 4 individually, and I may even stitch the whole thing. So, but wow, there's a lot of thought and a lot of care went into that. This is definitely my sort of style, and I so appreciate it, ladies. So thank you so very much. I honestly don't know what to say. I'm blessed. And thank you very much, ladies. So yes, so I was blessed with stitchy kindness, which is always awesome. Then with some of my Christmas money, as such, vouchers, whatever, I actually treated myself to one of these because I thought it was about high time I got one. So these are from Denkai Designs, and this will particularly come in handy probably quite soon for me. This is one of those things that's like the tacky bob, but it's actually a needle minder. So I treated myself to one of those, and I haven't used it yet, as you can see, but I can tell it's going to be really handy, because you can just put a selection of the beads that you need to use for an area, and then you can just go in and use them. So great, really pleased. As always, the service was excellent. And that come really fast, so that was one of my purchases. Oh, sorry, lean out of view. I I also received a beautiful gift from my aunt, a handmade gift from my aunt, and this is absolutely lovely. I mean, even the box that it comes in is fabulous. So it says, "We may not have it all together, but together we have it all." And this is the box that it come in. So it's absolutely lovely. And inside I have a scissor case and a pair of beautiful scissors. I haven't used them yet. And a scissor fob, and it's got scissors on it and buttons and bobbins. Sorry, I'm looking at my nails. Look at my nails. And little turquoise bead. So they're super sharp, actually. So, but yeah, how lucky am I? So I received that, and I've also received a matching needle case to go with it. These I use. I have one that someone bought me, and I use it all the time. Particularly good when you're travelling. So it's great to have another one. And this is absolutely stunning. I'm so pleased. So thank you very much from my auntie for my Christmas present. That's fabulous. So yeah, I did really well there. So they're my stitchy related Christmas gifts. Obviously I'm always very lucky, and I always do really well at Christmas. From my family and friends, they really care, and are really thoughtful. So I'm lucky like that. I'm blessed. So just a sort of little side note, this one's particularly for Andrea. I love cross stitch. She's on she does do floss tube videos, and although I am behind, and I do apologise, but I will catch up, you know I will. But I posted something, I think it was the day after my birthday, and I posted a post on Instagram, which I do need to make more of an effort to do, but I posted a post on Instagram, and I was having a sneaky cake, a little birthday cake that my brother bought me with happy birthday on it, just a single version, not the whole cake. And I also but I was drinking out of gin. I'm a gin drinker. I like gin. I like specialty gins, and I was drinking a gin that my brother had also bought me, a rhubarb and ginger gin, out of a teacup, and she commented on the teacups and how much she liked them. So basically I thought I would just do this little segment just for Andrea. It won't take long, hopefully, for those that are not interested. But I have a tea set, basically, that is a Royal Albert tea set. It's the Old Country Roses range, and basically we have the whole coffee set, and we have the tea with the teapot set, and then we have the cake stands and cake plates and that sort of thing. I don't have the dinner service. There is a dinner service, but we don't have that. We actually opted for a different dinner service, which we got with our wedding, for our wedding. So but more often than not, obviously the tea set comes out as on its own, separate, when we have a few people over, and it's tea and cakes, afternoon tea. So but just for her, and there's no coffee or tea in these, or gin, unfortunately. But this is the coffee cup of the Royal Albert. So these are hand wash only, because they've got gold on them. And your saucer. And with a wipe down. This is the teacup. And you think, well, that just looks exactly the same, but when you actually hold them next to each other as they jingle, because I shake, you see that there is actually a size difference. Coffee's smaller than the tea. Sorry. Yes, that's how you know I shake. Naturally shake, because you can hear it when I'm holding stuff like that. But yeah, so I was drinking gin out of... I was using the smaller cup. But I was drinking gin out of it. And she commented on it and how much she loved it. So that little segment, Andrea, was just for you. And I'm going to put in a picture here of my, quite messy, but my dresser, where it has got the teapot and the coffee pot. But it hasn't got everything that I've got there, because you can't fit it in those little two little shelves. But I'll put that picture here. Right, so I've pretty much spoken about all the things that I want to talk about that isn't showing whips. So now we'll get to whips. So hold on 2 seconds. Yeah, sadly this month I was actually, I'd written it down that I was planning on doing this sort of earlier in the month, and I was going to put herbal tea, because I know that Andrea's not drinking caffeine, and I was going to put herbal tea in it, and I wasn't going to put gin in it, but herbal tea in it, and you know, maybe drink from my little cup every now and again, but quite frankly it would need brandy in it to get me through this month. So this is my go-to size. That's just not going to cut it. It's just not going to cut it this month. So sorry, I have a candle burning as well. I'm trying to surround myself with nice things. What I was up to in December. December's a very busy month. From when I last spoke to you, I have had a couple of finishes, small finishes. So I'll start with what my project was for December. So my main focus piece, I always do a Christmas piece in November and December, and my main focus piece was obviously to try and get this completed, Sweet Christmas by Kure Batakure, which, as you know from my last video, I actually finished that in November, which meant that I then started another Christmas piece. Let me just get there. I started another Christmas piece, which was the Kure Batakure Winter Garden. So this will be my focus piece in November and December until it's finished. So obviously that'll be November and December of 2018 now. And I would have liked to have got, bearing in mind that it's busy, I would have liked to have got more than I did actually manage to get done, but here is where I'm at. So basically I would have liked to have got one, like the whole motif done and add that as a finish in place, but it just didn't happen. So this is stitched on 40 count grey, just a grey linen, and it's 1/2. It's the first time I've worked on 40 count. It is quite nice. I do like the way the threads lay. So I'm just not a big fan. I said that last time, of stitching on in white, but I wasn't willing to change it because I like it. I like the colourway, so I'm not going to change it. So that was my focus piece and where I'm at for the month of December. I obviously have a Mania Start project, a little project that you do. So I try and get an ornament done a month, and I've put it away, but it worked out in the rotation that the ornament was Ghoul Tidings by Plum Street Samplers, and that's actually, I can look, that's actually in the Just Cross Stitch magazine Halloween edition for 2013, and I stitched this on 32 count linen that had been hand dyed by me, and I did actually manage to get it finished. So you may notice that I did decide to leave off the border. I haven't got it fully finished yet. I've got a little pile of fully finished shoes that it's starting to build up, but it's just been one of those times. So I changed the date so that it because obviously I finished it in December, so technically I think it was something like, I can't remember now, but it was like 1680 something, and I just put 1617 so I know when I finished it. So I'll put all the details of this, what I used, because what I did is that I blended DMC. There is a specialty thread in there because I had it, but other than that I actually blended DMC to get maybe an older tone of things. So I will put all that information in the information box down below. Should you want to replicate that, the threads that I've used, and the linen, sorry, the 32 count, this was hand dyed by me, so yeah, it's just blotchy and mottled. It's actually, I've got another piece which I'll probably use for another ornament. So that was a finish, my ornament of the month finish. So I did manage to finish that in December, which means that I'm trying to think what order this would be best to do in. Let's just stick with the ornaments of the month, which means that the next one, obviously I done that in December, so then now, because we're at the end of January, I'll talk to you about the January one. So this one was a small one. Obviously all of these were started in Stitch Mania, or a little bit, and then I would go back to the idea is that I would have 12 starts in Stitch Mania. I will be doing that again because it does seem to have worked for me. There'll be 12 starts, 12 ornament starts for Stitch Mania, and then try and complete an ornament every month. And in doing that and that process, it means that I'm starting to build up my little ornament and small stash. So that's the plan of action. So this was the January's ornament focus piece, which is also from a Just Cross Stitch Halloween collection, but it's in the 2011. It's called The Witch's Inn. It does have back beads, buttons from just another button company. I wasn't that fussed about those. And I didn't stitch it with the recommended fabric or floss or anything like that. So I stitched it on Jurassic Sands. Let's have a look. Yes. Take that out because you're probably going to look. Yeah, so I stitched it on Jurassic Sands Opal. It's a 32 count Belfast linen, and it's by the Crafty Kitten. This was quite an old piece of fabric that I've had this for a very, very long time, so I would imagine she still has it, but I honestly haven't checked, so hopefully she does. So I also stitched it with a variegated thread that I used from my stash. This is actually by a company on Etsy called Heart Stitch Thread. There you go. Heart Stitch Thread. And it was called Wine Cork, and that was the colours. So that was quite nice to use that as part of my, as I've got it in my stash. It was quite nice, and I thought it would be appropriate. So yeah, so I just need to finish that one too. So my January ornament project from Stitch Mania of 2017 has been done and completed. Granted, it was quite small, but yeah. So And that's, sorry, The Witch's Inn is by Cherished Stitches. If I don't complete a pattern, like a little ornament for whatever reason, then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to roll them over. So basically, instead of having 12 new starts in Mania, if I've got 2 rollovers for whatever reason, because I didn't get to finish an ornament, 2 ornaments, then I will just put them back in the place that they was originally in the first 12 days until they're completed. So yeah, that's my plan of action. So the next thing in December was the see, it seems like I managed to do a lot of stitching, but this is actually over quite a long period of time. Was the Treasures sampler. Now I'm doing, as I mentioned before, I'm doing sampler Sundays. As far as I'm aware, it's not a group or anything like that. It's just something I decided to do to try and use some of the beautiful patterns found in Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly, the magazines. I have all the DVDs, and sometimes I overlook them because they're on DVD and you haven't got the patterns in front of you, and that's a real shame because there's some real beauties in there. So I thought, well, on a Sunday I'm going to stitch a sampler and sort of work, and basically there's no time limit. It's completed when it's completed, and then you can move on to the next sampler. So for the sampler Sundays, so this one was Treasures Sampler, it's called, and this was from the 1991 Sampler and Antique Needlework Volume 3. I did make some alterations, mainly in the colour. So this isn't a replica sampler or anything. I made some alterations mainly in the colours and the way the font is, but I discussed that in my previous video if you wish to watch. And I did manage to get that completed. I haven't actually put my signature on it yet, or the year. It was actually finished last year, so I need to do that, but other than that it's completed. So this is what it looks like. That border, I must admit, which is eyelet stitches, ended up getting a bit tedious. But the way I did that is that I would do a bit of the border, do a bit of the border, and so it wasn't just like just doing border all the time. It says, with needle in hand, I stitch with pleasure, a sampler to adorn my cherished treasures. So there's not many embroidery speciality stitches in it at all. You've got eyelet stitches, I think this is the 4-sided cross stitch, and you've got a satin stitch, but the rest is all cross stitched anyway. So, but that was really good. I really like that. And this is on a 32 count. Yeah, a 32 count, which again I'd hand dyed. It was something that was in my stash, so I used it. So again, that needs to be finished. I'm starting to build up a bit of a finishing pile here. As in fully finished is what I mean. So because I'd got that done, the Treasures sampler, that meant that I could move on to my next sampler, which I've made some alterations to. So my next sampler that I chose to do was the Susanna Hardiman sampler. It's from the Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly, Volume 7. And I believe the year that it's from is probably 1992, I think. And I'll put that information in the information box. So this is the sampler. Now, as I discussed in my other video about, because I said I'd probably end up finishing that, so I mentioned this, the colours are very drab, so I did change them out, but this is a replica sampler, so you've got to stitch what you like and what appeals to you, and I have absolutely no problem with people like obviously being creative and changing colours. I do it myself and I like it, but I wanted to sort of pay homage to the sampler, but maybe not as drab as that, but I didn't necessarily want to do it all really bright either. And also I had every intention of stitching this border, and again, as I worked my way through, I started to stitch the border and I just didn't like it. It's too heavy for the piece in my opinion. So as you can see, I've actually folded the bit of paper because I just wanted to see what it would look like if it didn't have the border, and I actually prefer it without the border. So I am going, so again I did change the colours and I'm leaving off the border, so it is more of a paying homage to rather than replicating. I will put all the colours that I've used and stuff like that in the information box down below, because I've blended a lot of threads, so it'll be easier to read it like that than me go through. So this is very wrinkly because I stitched this on a Sunday, obviously. I tend to stitch it downstairs and spend time with my husband on a Sunday, sort of a Sunday evening, that sort of thing. And because of that reason, I have put it in a Q-snap, so it gets really crinkly. And I haven't ironed it, but this is where I am so far. Let's just make sure the coffee's not there. So basically I'm doing the top 2 parts and then the bottom 2 parts. It's only over 4 pages, and the bottom 2 parts don't even cover a whole of an A4, so it's actually not a very big piece. If I'd included the border, it would have filled up this fabric more, but I would have had to stitch it this length anyway on a fat quarter, so yeah, so I'm pleased with that. Cool, that might be better. I'm pleased with that, how that's coming out. I still feel that it has elements of that they're very autumnal colours, but it's starting to look more autumnal in my opinion rather than drabby. Mean thing to say. I think because she was only 7 years old, which is just amazing anyway, but they just gave her the drabby threads, so it's like, oh, I'll add a little bit of colour for you. But yeah, so I'll put all that information and I'll continue to work on this. There's no deadline. It is just my Sunday sampler piece. If I manage to stitch on a Sunday, then this is the piece I stitch on. That's it. That's as complicated as it gets. If it takes me 10 years to finish it, there's no limit, or because what it is that once I finish this one, I'll move on to another sampler and stitch that on a Sunday. So yeah, so this fabric is a sparkly fabric. You can't really tell. I can't even, yeah, it's too far away. This is called Slightly Buttery, and it's like an off, it's a very, 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 very light yellow, but you can see it's not white when you're holding it in front of you. It's more creamy. So yeah. But yeah, excuse the how creased it is. That's what happens when you put it in a Q-snap. It'll all get ironed. Oh, that's another thing I bought with my money, Christmas money. I actually bought some best press. Which isn't that easy. We can get it on Amazon, so it's easy to get over here, but you couldn't just go into a supermarket and buy it, so as far as I'm aware. So I bought some best press from Amazon, so when I start to finish my projects, I'll use it and I will let you know. I know a lot of people use it and love it, so I'm looking forward to using that. So really that's my December, and obviously going into a little bit of January with the sampler Sundays. and what I've been up to. So it does seem like an awful lot of stitching, but as I said, really this is probably 2 months worth. Obviously I haven't discussed my January focus piece. So January I follow the Stitch Mania sales, as you know. December was Winter Garden by Kure Batakure. I've already shown that. And my January focus project of the month is a New Year, New Start, and I've, for the last 2 years, I've been doing the Nora Corbett Pixies. So this year I decided to do, let's just take that off, the Wisteria Pixie. And I know my video was a little bit all over the place last time because I kept forgetting things. But yes, I decided to stitch her on maybe a brighter fabric than people expected. And that's... Oh. And that was Leo, 32 count Leo by Sparkly. So this is still in the frame because I'm still going to stitch her obviously today. She has got a lot of beads to be added. Sometimes you don't realise quite how many beads are in some of these little pixies, so there's a lot of beads to go on, hence why I bought that Denkai Designs needle minder that will be this one, because I thought that will really come in handy for things like these. But this is where I'm at. I wasn't sure because I said it may end up being a complete disaster on whether it works on the fabric or not, but I actually think it does. The reason I chose this sort of brownie, as you can tell, I can be quite leery with these pixies and fabric, because I just feel I love samplers and I love the shabby chic and I like that style, and I stick within that style to suit the piece. But I think these, they look like little catwalk fairies, and it's like, yeah, give them a bit of colour, you know, really make them stand out. Personal preference, they look beautiful stitched anyway. They're beautiful pieces, aren't they? So they look lovely on white or whatever. But yeah, so I like to play. This is my opportunity to play with colour a little bit more for me. So yeah, the reason I stitched, so this is Leo, 32 count. And the reason, sorry, is all these threads parked. I only park on things like this because I know they're running downwards, and so I park then. Otherwise, I generally don't park. Yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? 32 count Leo. It's because wisteria obviously looks really pretty on the side of houses and things, growing usually around the front door or around a window or going up the corner of a house. That's when I think of wisteria, that's immediately sort of the setting I put it in my head. And so I thought, well, it would look nice with the equivalent of a brickwork colour, like when it's up against brickwork. Obviously you can get houses that are weatherboarded or cladded or stone or whatever, but mine's brick. And it's London stock, so it is rusty red and yellows. These are the colour of the bricks of my house. So I thought it should in theory work, and I am actually pleased with it. It may not be everybody's cup of tea. Hopefully I'm trying to block so that you can see it. But I actually really like it. There's a little bit further to go here, and then there isn't too much for me left to do. Obviously I'm not going to finish it in January. I did her skin 1/1. Again, that's personal preference. I need to put her eye in, or it's just a little, she's got her eyes closed, so it's just her eyelashes really. But yeah, there's not too much left to do. But with these, while this is, I want to try and get at least one of these finished a year. Now, I could try and fit it in another sale, but I like to make sure that it actually gets done. So what I do is that I get, this is my focus piece, and it's been my focus piece for when I have stitched in January, which actually isn't as much as you think. I think I've missed out about 2 weeks of stitching. In January, and then, but what I'll do is that I'll do like I did with the others. So sorry. I'll do like I did with the others, which is I will stitch on a Monday, Mirabilia Monday. I'll stitch on a Monday, I'll stitch on this until it's completed, because then that way I know that there's a good chance that it will get done this year. And yeah, I try and, I mean, I'm obviously never going to catch up, but I try and get as many done, or at least one done a year, because that tends to feed my Mirabilia, sort of lavender and lace pretty ladies bug. So, and then I've been using this little needle minder, which was from Ghoul Tidings as well. But yeah, she's got a little bit of krennic here. There is actually, I've swapped out, although I haven't used it yet, but in the design, I've swapped out one of the krennics for Petite Treasure Braid, because I do actually prefer using that. But yeah, there's an awful lot of beads, so she looks a bit bland. But when you actually see the pattern, she's got all these bits hanging, but they're all bead. It's all beaded, so there is quite a few beads on her. But yeah, so that's my focus piece. That was my focus piece for January, and obviously I'll stitch that, or if I get a chance to stitch today, I will stitch that. I don't know whether that noise is being picked up. Someone's having some work done, obviously, on their house. Excuse me. I apologise. So, what do I have planned for February? February, I follow the Stitch Mania sales. I'm going to be doing a new start. I don't have anything in my current whip selection that covers the sale, which is Foodie Fib. For me, it was like, oh, which one? I've got loads with food in. Obviously there is a running trend here with food. But I have picked one, and I've gone a little bit shabby chic. This might be, when I think about it, this might be a bit more of a shabby chic year for me. But it's probably a bit more of a play on words. But this, obviously, I only pick from patterns that I already own. I don't go out unless it specifically, I don't generally go out and buy a pattern to fit a sale. I'll join in the sale if I have a pattern already in my stash. That's basically it. So what I'm going to be working on for Foodie Feb, it's called Peas and Cues, and it's by the Cross-Eyed Cricket, the Cricket Collection, number 300, Peas and Cues. And obviously it's a little bit of a play on words because it's mind your P's and Q's, but it has food because it's got peas and it's got honey, and I just thought that was really sweet and I really liked it. So that's what I'm going to be starting and working on in February. Now I'm going to be doing it on this colour, which is a 32 count. This was in my stash, and it's obviously an off-cut, but I didn't off-cut it. So I don't know what sort of, I know it's a 32 count and I know it's a linen, but I'm not sure if it's a zwaigart or not. It could be, but it's like a khaki green. It's looking grey on the screen, but it is actually more khaki green. So I thought that that would do. I have got quite a few of the Cricket Collection patterns. And a lot of them can use thread gatherer silks, but this one actually doesn't have any. It's all DMC, well, it's got a listing for DMC or Anchor, so it actually doesn't have any specialty threads in it at all. This may be, it's not a very big design, but I've got a feeling that this is going to be deceiving because there's an awful lot of colours for this design, so this may take longer than initially thought, in that sense, but the colours are really bright. Can't really see some, but yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of colours for such a small design, so obviously that can slow you down, having the colour changes. Not this race, I'm just saying. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be stitching on in February as my focus piece, so that will be a new start. And as my ornament focus piece, I will be stitching Merry Solstice by the Primitive Hare. So obviously this is what I managed to get done in the day, whatever day it fell on, in Mania of 2017, and it's just all in this. I'm using PB03 Petite Treasure Braid, and it just says Merry Solstice, and that will be my sort of focus ornament to finish in February, if I can. And this is a 32 count linen. Is it linen? Yes, it's a 32 count linen. Again, it's an offcut. That's literally, I've got one bit on the back. Again, I didn't offcut it, so I don't know what it is. But these ornaments are ideal for using up little bits of fabric in your stash, and so I think that that will look nice as a Christmas winter piece. So that will be that. So this is a longer video than I expected, but then really it is 2 months worth of progress, and this is what happens when you leave it too long, isn't it? I will endeavour to make sure that it probably won't be long till you see me again. I've got some videos that I really want to make that I've got coming up, with, obviously, I haven't forgotten some of the things you've asked me to do, and I will endeavour to get those done. It's just been a bit of a rough month this month, as well as December being so busy. So thank you very much for watching and subscribing. Hello to any new subscribers. I hope you enjoyed my video. They're not normally, I try not to make them as long as this normally, but like I said, I've had 2 months to cover. I'll be seeing you. I like to do videos sort of in the middle of the month, so hopefully I'll be seeing you soon in regards to just my normal works in progress, and where I'm at with that on the Foodie Feb sale with Stitch Mania. And thank you very much, guys, for being so supportive, for leaving comments. I really do appreciate them. And I'll leave you with a picture of my winter set little table thing. It's nothing major. Obviously, we was in the process of moving. That doesn't look like it's going to happen now. Again, I'm not going into that. So this was my little gesture towards winter. So I will leave you with that picture. Have a great February till I see you then. So love to all. Bye. Happy stitching.